Hey guys, Adam coming at you with TriFit today. We've got a widely discussed, somewhat controversial topic of prenatal training. And I brought my special guest, Caitlin Fisher. She's now ending the last cycle of her pregnancy. How many days do you have left?
Got like 20 days, I think.
20 days. So we thought it'd be a real relevant subject to bring up because we always get questions about pregnancy and prenatal and postnatal training and all the myths associated with that and kind of what we think about it and how the game has kind of changed in that. So Caitlin's going to kind of be here to give you a little take on what she's done along the process and how she came to the decision to keep training, and we'll show you a little bit about her workout and what it's entailed throughout the process. So in reference to the benefits, I think there's a lot that a lot of people don't know about aside from the obvious ones. We know that there's a lot of increased energy, you get better sleep. In reference to training beforehand, during it, and after it even, there's a lot of benefits associated with postpartum and after delivery to kind of have a more speedy delivery and kind of get you back in the gym much quicker. There's a better bounce back associated with it. And along with some of that, tell me some of the things that what kind of brought you into training with us.
Well, I was training pretty hard before I got pregnant. I've been an athlete my whole life, so it was important to me to keep doing what I've been doing. I knew that I would have to modify it somehow, and I think that having a trainer during pregnancy just kind of kept me in check of not overdoing things, and also knowing like what were the right things to do. But for me, I just kind of figured that you can't predict how your labor and delivery is going to go, but what you can predict and what you can have control of is what you do beforehand. And for me, the statistics kind of spoke for themselves. I read a book by Dr. James Clapp called Exercising Through Your Pregnancy, and the rate of C-section drops by 75% in moms that exercise, and the need for pain control during labor is decreased by 35%. So just to me, it seemed kind of like the benefits of continuing to train far outweighed stopping.
Yeah.
So.
I think that it really helps alleviate a lot of people's stress coming into those situations of, oh, I'm pregnant, I can't do anything. And to know that there's people out there that are fine with training and medical, we had tons of medical supervision associated with her along the way, because with Caitlin, she has such an athletic background. She trained hard with us beforehand. So in normal cases, I'm kind of being the one to push them, saying, you're okay to do this. And this one, I might have pulled her back a little bit more because she wanted to be so active. And I think that'll be very relevant in reference to her bounce back and how it'll play a huge role in that as well. So all those stats that she said are true, and I think that anyone can see that it's only going to help you to be active. Now, to determine what that activity level is, that's up to you and what you're comfortable with, but I know that it helps to have a trainer in those situations because it helps alleviate that stress and allow them to trust them and know that what they're doing along the process is going to only benefit them and their baby to come. So Caitlin's program was pretty simple. All we did was have to kind of dial her back a little bit from what she was doing previously, but for the most part, her strength lifts stayed the same. We still kept, a lot of aerobic conditioning going there. We just tried to modify those a little bit once we dipped into the second trimester. And that's where a lot of people really get nervous when we shift into that. You just see these big myths associated with it of, not to do crunches, not do all this stuff. That there's still exercises that can benefit you in your pregnancy that some people might say you can't do, but you actually can. And with the help of medical supervision, it really aids in that stress being alleviated from them so that they can feel comfortable training with us and they know that their doctor's cool with it too. And some of those things were heart rate versus rate of perceived exertion. We talked about that a lot, that kind of old school method of heart rate is kind of thrown away, and now it's more what's their rate of perceived exertion, their RPE, along the training process. You can kind of elaborate a little bit on that, how you felt along the way.
Yeah, so like Adam said, it was an old school belief that you couldn't let your heart rate get above, I think it was like 140 or 150. But that's not really what research has said nowadays. It's more about making sure you're keeping your core temperature down, making sure that your rate of perceived exertion, like you said, isn't going through the roof, because of course, when you're in oxygen debt, then your baby is also in oxygen debt. But on that same token, if you're working out and you're exercising, you're improving your circulation, which improves circulation to the placenta, to the uterus, to the baby. So It's just about being smart.
Yeah.
I mean, if you weren't doing CrossFit or weren't running or whatever your exercise of choice was, if you weren't doing it before you were pregnant, it's probably not the best time to pick it up.
Yeah, I think that's really where a lot of those lines get blurred with people, is that starting an exercise program while being pregnant is not necessarily bad, but it just needs to be somewhat light to moderate. Versus if you are already active before, you know that you're thinking about becoming pregnant, now would be a great time to start that and to kind of seek some help with that. And that's where we can kind of come in and help design a program specific for you. And, along that way, I think core is a great thing to emphasize. It really helps out. There's a lot of natural births now, and they emphasize a lot of core work, squat work. So you'll see a lot of our pregnant women training and doing some strength lifts, some squats, deadlifts. It all comes down to modifying versus eliminating. And like she said, you don't want to have absolutes associated with those situations. You just want to curtail it towards what your program specifically needs along the way. Another good point that a lot of our clients tell us that we don't even really think about, that I thought was a relevant topic, is that just coming to the gym alone helps them in their day along the way. I mean, I'm sure you were tired sometimes or at work, and it just kind of helps in that situation.
I think for me, I'd be, especially during the first trimester, I'd be so tired, and I'd think, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna get through this? But I'd come in, I'd do my workout, and then it was like synergistic. I would have all kinds of energy afterwards, and I could get things done and feel more like myself. So for me, that was helpful. And then also too, on mornings that I would come in before work or do a run or whatever it was that I was doing, that would give me energy to get me through my day. Whereas I think a lot of pregnant women, they just kind of succumb to it, and that's okay too. I mean, some days you're just going to be tired, but I think if you can kind of give yourself that push, that'll help you a lot.
Definitely. I think the main point we want to drive home here is that with every pregnancy, you don't have to necessarily eliminate doing things as opposed to modify those, and that training is okay, and we've shown that. And I hope that this is beneficial to anyone out there who's thinking about becoming pregnant or is currently pregnant to consider that option and look at all the benefits associated with it and what Caitlin's done along her journey, and hopefully that can inspire some of you out there to say, I can definitely do this, and I feel much better knowing that my doctor's okay with this as well. So that's your weekly tip brought to you by TriFit.